fantastic. I love Nick Crowley. I like the little goofy little videos he makes.
It's 8 a.m. sharp on a Saturday morning in 1979. Families in the Tampa Bay area turn on their television sets as thousands of sleepy children awake on their day off from school. Some flip to Nickelodeon, where a rerun of Pinwheel is playing.
Dude.
Some flip to ABC, where they would catch the final episode of a short-lived TV series called Fangface. However, that morning, others would opt for a more virtuous wake-up call, flipping the station instead to Channel 22, or the Christian Television Network, where a new show was opening the day slate. A show called...
When you... Dude, anytime you can think of creepy, like, children's show and shit, it's always on the Christian... It's always like the Christian ones. It's always the Catholic shows and the Christian shows that are the ones that are always the fucking creepiest as fuck.
The show JoyJunction quickly found its place in the hearts of viewers,
Why is that
with
the
kids
case?
immediately connecting with the quirky characters.
The ones that's supposed to be the most wholesome always ends up turning out to be the most like terrifying, with the worst backgrounds.
Creating a program that could be experienced together as a whole family. From that day on, families all across Florida and eventually across the entire United States came to enjoy the program, which continued on for a run of over 20 long years, until one Saturday morning at 8 a.m. sharp, when, without explanation, the show came to an unceremonious end and was never broadcast again. Today, the show and all official records of it have been scrubbed from the internet, with the companies behind its creation and the networks that aired it acting as if it never even existed, some allegedly going as far as to destroy any remaining copies, thanks solely to the heinous events that transpired during and after its television run. This is the story of JoyJunction, the children's TV show with an unimaginably dark secret.
Come and join us for a half hour of fun and games at JoyJunction. Now here's Sheriff Don.
Thank you, and welcome to this fun little town of JoyJunction.
JoyJunction was both the name of the show and the name of the fictional town in which it was focused. A town where numerous characters converged to tell stories, play games, and answer questions, all of which pertaining to Christianity. Each episode followed the same basic structure. They were 30 minutes long and would tackle one general lesson taught in the Bible and tell it through an acted-out story. This was then interspersed with various games and audience participation, as the show heavily leaned on including its young fan base and immersing them in the world of JoyJunction. They even had a live studio audience for every episode, comprised of kids ages 3 to 13, with the participants and crowd genuinely seeming excited to be there, which was largely due to its lovable cast of characters. The most prevalent of these was Sheriff Don, who was actually played by the creator of the show itself, Don McAllister.
And the whole gang is here, so we're going to have us a good time today. Glad you could join us for the next 30 minutes.
He guided the show from segment to segment.
What's up, my STD-free friend? What the fuck kind of intro is that? Hello, Darius. Thank you for stopping by. What the fuck?
And often focused on the Bible while driving home the episode's central theme, while also being the one who most often interacted with the children who participated in the show. Then there was Forrest Padley, a soft-spoken professor who, ironically, often had lessons taught to him due to his obvious clueless nature.
You doing good? That's good.
Even help when you
I'm reacting to slop.
I'm not a pope, but how about he'll even help when you're in trouble?
Hey, Sheriff Don, you're a poet too.
And of course, the fan
Hairline
favorite,
crazy,
Riddler
but
Dan,
Vegeta's
a
look
caricature
good.
of a southern farmer known as the
Nothing
goofy
can make
storyteller
Vegeta's
of the
hairline
group.
look good. You're lying. Vegeta's hairline literally reaches like the middle of his skull. Okay.
Some of the jokes in here. Would you like me to read some more? Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah. Oh, you want me to read it to you?
But of all the characters to come from JoyJunction, there was one, or two, who were by far the most popular, yet polarizing. Ron and Marty.
Ron and Marty.
Played by professional ventriloquist Ronald Williams, Ron and Marty were far and away the most memorable characters for those who watched the show, and for obvious reasons too. Many children watching at home found the duo, and Marty specifically, to be off-putting, even horrifying, with some claiming that the doll gave
who
them
the
nightmares.
fuck likes dolls, dude? I don't know what I don't know about you guys chat. Well, the fucking what's it called? Autonomatophobia? I think I have autonomatophobia because anything that looks human but it's not human freaks me the fuck out, right? I hate mannequins, I hate dolls, I hate puppets. The only thing I like I mean, like pop vinyls are okay. I mean, they don't scare. No, I don't think they even classify them that. Things that like have humanoid shape. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Puppets, dolls, and mannequins. Fuck.
It was
Freak
just
shit out.
too creepy to look at, causing many to stop watching the show altogether. But despite this, others found the duo to be hilarious and entertaining, tuning in week after week just to see them perform. For the viewers, it was a love or hate relationship with Ron and Marty. But even so, it was impossible to dismiss their impact on the show. They appear in every single episode that we have available, are often tasked with teaching the children some of the series' most important lessons. Lessons like not to cuss.
Seems like I'm hearing a lot
Don't
of swear
cuss?
words.
Fuck.
All the kids are using swear words these days. And I'm afraid one of them's going to slip out of my mouth. First of all, why don't you try immediately praying and asking the Lord to take those bad words and thoughts out of your mind? Say, that's a good idea.
Practicing self-control.
Chad, the Christian shows are always the weirdest ones, I swear.
I don't think my self-control works. It must be broken. No, Marty. I don't think anybody can practice self-control all by themselves, but if you'll just ask the Lord to help you, He will.
Defeating bad thoughts.
Right.
Good words and thoughts to come out of our mouths. It's almost so, Marty, as if our mouths will overflow with the thoughts and the ideas that are inside of us. You know, we need to be very careful about what we put in our minds and our hearts, Marty. That's for sure.
And most controversially,
Ron, they were looking at some dirty pictures and they wanted me to look too. Well, Marty, what did you do? Well, I said, look, guys, I like you a lot and I want to play with you, but I can't look at those pictures. I just can't do it.
whether it was the lessons they taught or Marty's blatant uncanniness, these two characters were the most vividly remembered part of the show. And this is important as these memories are essentially
just shouldn't even be taught, right? Some things just shouldn't even be taught at that young of an age, like for like elementary schoolers. We don't need to teach them shit like that, right? I don't know. I feel like teaching them not to do it makes them feel like they want to do it more because you told them not to do it. And they usually probably wouldn't have even known about it. But now that you're teaching them it makes them learn about it way earlier than they should have. Because I know I didn't learn about anything like that until I was in like late middle school. Because it was never taught until late middle school. But now we're teaching it like they're starting to teach it in elementary and shit. And it's like, what? It's kind of weird.
We've been left with.
We are still covered with that darkness and with that sin. And when we say he'll wash us as white as snow, that's referring to the sin that's within us.
JoyJunction is classified today mainly as lost media. No official copies of the show have ever been published by its creators or the networks that owned it. It just kind of ended one day and was never talked about again by those involved with the project. And this lack of archiving stretches past just the media itself. If you were to look online for information on the show today, you would find next to nothing. There's no Wikipedia page, no actors, producers, or directors mentioning it in their work history or on their resumes. There's no official website. There's essentially nothing. Not even so much as an official date in which the show started and ended, despite the fact that the show apparently ran for 20 long years. We know for sure that the show aired on CTN in the 1980s, specifically in the Tampa Bay area, before it was later syndicated and broadcast across the country on channels such as TVN and Smile of a Child. But today, none of these networks mention the show having ever aired in their lineups, and none of them have ever provided an explanation as to why the show was pulled from the air. The only reason we even know anything about it is thanks to old recordings and VHS tapes captured by those who once enjoyed the show. With a few dozen episodes and some short clips from the series having made their way to YouTube in recent years, essentially serving as the only surviving relics of JoyJunction. Because of this, the show is largely a mystery, and information is incredibly scarce and hard to come by. But after doing some digging, I was able to find some mentions of it in old newspapers printed nearly 45 years ago that did shed a bit of light on the context surrounding its creation. The first mention of JoyJunction came in 1978 within the Evening Independent, though at this point it was not even a television show yet. Instead, advertisements were placed in the paper weekly for the Faith Community Church in Largo, Texas, that mentioned including some sort of in-person act specifically for children, called JoyJunction. It's unclear what this performance actually entailed, but coincidentally, just 1 year later, the show JoyJunction would begin filming in Largo, Florida, with these original performances likely serving as the inspiration and the basis for the show itself. Following this trail of newspapers, I also found that the show was created by a company called WCLF, which began broadcasting back in October of 1979, with the founder of the company vaguely mentioning JoyJunction as an upcoming project. And sure enough, 1 week later, that same paper included a television guide that mentioned JoyJunction showing on TV for the very first time, giving us its likely premiere date of November 10th, 1979. Aside from this, I was able to confirm that the show did in fact play all across the United States and wasn't limited to just Florida, which might be why finding an exact date on when the show ended has proven essentially impossible. But the most common belief across the internet is that the show lasted until somewhere around 2004, putting its lifespan at a surprising 25 years, which makes it all the more unusual that there's hardly any mention of it online, and that there was seemingly no attempt to ever even archive it.
Soon, chat.
It seemed as if the parties involved didn't just drop the show and forget about it. They completely washed their hands of it and tried their best to bury it. There are even rumors circulating that CTN themselves had all their remaining copies set on fire and destroyed so that the show would forever be forgotten.
Jesus,
and when you consider
they wanted to get rid of all the evidence.
This isn't really all that surprising. But what is surprising is the extent of the unraveling and the way in which it began, as it all started with a simple water bottle.
Lost to a water bottle, chat.
It's unknown when exactly the discovery was made, just that it was a terrible one. Police arrest a man under the suspicion of distributing CP, only to find numerous images depicting it on his hard drive, with the vast majority of the victims involved being impossible to identify.
Chat.
Except for one.
Chat, if you're gonna be one of those weirdos, why would you save it on your hard drive, dude? Just like have it on Google Drive or actually it's gonna get found. Have some decentralized network where you can store images and just store it on there. Why would you save it on your hard drive, dude? That's like self-reporting.
Within the background of one of the images lay a hidden clue, a water bottle displaying the name of a swim and scuba school in Johnson County, Kansas City. Police did a search of the area, asking for help identifying the victim, which led them to a young child who swiftly pointed out their abuser as being a man named Michael Arnett. Michael was immediately arrested. After
he looks like the type. He looks like the type, chat.
Being a man named Michael Arnett.
Chat, he looks like the type. They always have a
Michael was immediately arrested.
Dude, look at that fucking hairline.
After which, the true extent of his crime would be uncovered on his home computers. They contained countless photos.
Put it on a flash drive or something, that way you can destroy it by stomping. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you can do that. Putting it on a flash drive and then like having the flash drive have an automatic code. Like imagine putting it on a flash drive and then having the flash drive be a keylogger at the same time. And not a keylogger, but like a assist key at the same time. If someone plugs it into their computer, they have 5 seconds they have 10 seconds to enter the password, or the entire computer and the flash drive fucking like self deletes, right? And then their computer's bricked, the flash drive is wiped. That would be smart. But people won't do that.
Videos depicting the same disturbing material, including a great deal that was produced by Michael himself. The contents of these images are genuinely some of the most appalling I've ever heard described, though we'll get more into that later, because there is something more relevant to this video that they found on his device.
That would be too smart for Drake.
Online chat history.
I don't think Drake's touched a computer other than to use autotune in his life.
And Ron, you're not one to talk. You're always on the telephone too. Well, I guess you've got a point there, Marty.
Ronald's life was centered around three things: ventriloquism, Christianity, and children. His primary job was working as a traveling puppeteer with a show called Puppets Plus, working school events, birthday parties, and at local malls.
Look at this fucking ancient ass like fucking, oh my god.
Plus,
graphic design is my passion, Chad. Look at this ancient webpage, man. Like I'm trying to work in web design, and looking at this is just like sad. I think he got like an OVO PC. What's an OVO PC?
School events, birthday parties, and at local malls. He also hosted a weekly puppet show for his local congregation that he billed as being specifically for children. And of course, he had his role on JoyJunction. Every aspect of his life brought him in close proximity to children. And as it turns out, there were several undisclosed incidents that raised serious red flags about this. The first incident occurred in 1998, at a time when JoyJunction was still believed to be in circulation across TV stations. Brown was driving home late one evening when a police officer pulled him over for speeding. The officer shined his light in the car as Ronald reached for his documents, only for his light to catch something unusual stuck between the seat cushions. It was underwear. Children's underwear. Despite the alarming nature of this, Ronald would end up convincing the officer that nothing strange was going on, claiming that the old pair of briefs merely belonged to his puppet, Marty. That night, Ronald was allowed to drive away without further questioning.
I mean, yeah, you can't really, like, a man having children's underwear in his car is not really anything you can't really, he might have kids or something. It's like, there's nothing really there.
Here, around the time of this encounter, Ronald had been living in a home conveniently located less than a block away from a popular playground. And upon moving into this home, neighbors began to complain of Ronald's relationship with young children in the area. Every Wednesday, kids from around the block would ride their scooters and their bikes over to his house for free pizza. The group would eventually emerge from the home, and Ronald would drive them in his van to a nearby church, where he would supposedly perform his ventriloquism. These weekly meetings were strange to say the least, especially because they were allegedly fairly...
Okay, at some point, it's less of the guy's fault and more of the parents' fault for even letting that happen. Like, if I was a parent, there's no way in hell I'm letting my kid get into a van with someone and going to a church and going to his house for free pizza. That's not happening unless I'm there and getting some free pizza. Then it can happen. Otherwise, that's not happening. That's just like, the parents are just being irresponsible at that point. Letting their kids get free pizza at some random guy's house and then getting in his van to go to a church. No. I ain't letting my kid go to a church alone. Yeah, no, your kid shouldn't be going anywhere alone except for school. And even then, they should be chaperoned for most of the time. Like, it's
fairly secretive.
You don't let your kids walk home from school. Don't let your kids walk to school. It's just a recipe to get them, kidnapped or yoinked or something. Like, at some point, the blame falls on parents as well for being so lackadaisy about their children's security.
With some children even sneaking off to meet the man without telling their parents. There were even other allegations that...
Okay, if your kid's sneaking off, grounded, no, that's like, no. If I find out you're sneaking off to meet some older man, you're never having rights again.
Ronald himself had hid their bikes underneath his home, almost as if he was trying to avoid any suspicion. And although I couldn't find concrete proof of this, it was rumored that when neighbors checked underneath his home, they reported not only finding these bikes, but used sex toys as well, which were stashed there for unknown reasons. There were never any sort of allegations made against Ron, legal or otherwise, but the red flags here are glaring. Red flags that seemingly went ignored, as people bought into Ronald's act as a God-fearing, silly ventriloquist. Though in reality, the chats found on the computer of Michael Arnett shattered this perception in the most dramatic way imaginable. Though even so, these chats aren't what you would expect. No, somehow they are much, much worse.
By the way, chat, how did the video sound compared to my voice? Is it at a good volume, or does it need to be louder or something? Unless you're like a block away from school, your kid should go home with you. Even if I'm a block away, I would walk my kid to and from school. I'm not risking it. That's not happening. Like, that is 100% not happening. Whoa, these are chats. Ronald Brown, I would have time to do it today if I only had him. Michael Arnett, yeah. Ronald Brown, I would have been up all night enjoying. That's disgusting. That's fucked. Michael, I'm sure telling him all about what his last night as a boy would. Oh my god. Chat, some people don't deserve rights like these guys. I imagine his eyes will be just about ready to bug out. Wet with tears, so. Okay, nah. Trembling, trying to imagine his body being cut up and eaten? Wait, what? I would imagine his eyes would be just about ready to bug out, wet with tears, so scared and helpless, probably trembling, trying to imagine his body being cut up and eaten. I thought they were freaks. I didn't know they were fucking freaks. What the fuck?
Within their conversations were numerous messages between the two men, fantasizing about not only killing children, but eating them as well, with most
That would be nice of you. Give him choices, all which end in him being cut up and eaten. Cow Keeper 2? Okay, this went down a different fucking hole. I was expecting it to go down like they're just regular fucking weirdos. Now they're just like cannibals as well. What the fuck? That's horrible.
of the messages being far too vile to discuss or even show in this video. And this wasn't just fascination, it was obsession.
Sweet Talker Linda. I wish. Oh, Yui Lime. A nice weekend meal. Sweet Talker Linda. Would be so nice. What the fuck? Yui Lime is Ronald Brown.
Ronald had even found a child at his church that he frequently discussed wanting to eat.
No, I need to read that. I would like to get an updated picture of him before too long. Me too. I like to look at the meat when I am home too. Exactly. Plan out some cuts. Holy shit. He would make a fine Easter feast. Yeah, his thighs and butt cheeks will be fantastic for Easter. What the fuck?
It would be the perfect feast for Easter, describing what it would be like to end his life and to consume.
I take you already imagine snuffing him whenever you look at him? Yes, I think I would enjoy that. Imagine him wiggling and then going
his body. And this went far past
Dude,
just
this
talking,
is fucked.
as Brown had taken photos of the child from afar and had actually been formulating a plan.
I think he would be small enough to take down easily. You should come down and help. He could enjoy him too. Love to, of course, but I think a first on should be enjoyed alone, especially with all we've done watching him. This Sweet Talker Linda person sounds like they have fucking experience already. Like they've already done this before. That's insane. Chad, this is insane.
Plan to kidnap him. He had even sent a photo of the child with black lines drawn over it to show the various spots in which Ronald wanted to butcher him.
Jesus Christ.
This was all supported by his friend Michael too.
Any luck with your boy? No, I still want to eat him though. He was looking good in his last pic that I got. Great.
Who himself claimed to have eaten multiple children with.
I bet. Did she taste good? She did. She was a little sweet. She made a sweet little oven roast. Yummy. What was the best part? Just a light patch fuzz of her red hair left on her head when she went in. Looks so.
With a man even sending a photo of a 2-year-old girl that was seen inside of a pot, inside of an oven. And this wasn't the end of the shocking discoveries either, as things were made even worse upon investigators searching into Ronald's username, UE Lime. In doing so, they discovered an account on a website called which was and is a forum for sharing images of the dead between those who fetishize corpses. And within his account, Ronald states sharing images of the dead. A website called cutedeadguys.net, which was and is a forum for sharing images of the dead.
My curiosity has peaked. It's on the clear web, chat. It's still up. Chat, don't look at. Okay, it's actually real. Don't fucking look at it. Holy shit, that's fucking that's horrible. That is horrible.
Between those,
I'm gonna blur it. I'm gonna fucking blur it. I don't want when I put this on YouTube. I'm gonna blur it. That's horrible. Holy shit.
Ronald stated that he was one of these people too, admitting that he loved the sight of dead boys ever since he was a young man. And he wasn't lying either. Upon these revelations, Ronald...
Chat, give me... Is it like... Yeah, it's pictures. It's pictures. It's fucked. It's just pictures. It's just pictures of dead people. I need a minute, chat. Give me 1 minute. Holy shit. Fucking hell. Oh my god. Holy shit. Chat. Yeah, no, why would they show the actual link? That is insane. Yeah, that was fucked, chat. Don't go to that website. Why would they show the link in the video? That's kind of dangerous. And why isn't Google or something remove the site? I do not know. It's literally. I thought I was gonna be down. I was like, I went on there. I was like, it's like that is like fucked on so many like levels.
Ronald stated that he was one of these people too, admitting that he loved the sight of dead boys ever since he was a young man. And he wasn't lying.
The worst mistake I've ever done was search D-Glove's face. I'm not even going to.
Either. Upon these revelations, Ronald's home was raided, where police would find over 200 images containing CP, which didn't even include the hundreds of others showing tied up children, children being abused, and children that appeared to be dead. Along with this, police also found a blow-up sex doll in the home that was dressed in little boy's clothing, and inside one of his sock drawers was another hard drive with images of countless dead children, as well as a single flyer for a missing child in the area. He also had hundreds of images of a young boy named Andrew, who had attended Brown's church and youth group, with the boy having died of a brain tumor years before. Photos that showed the boy's slow physical decline, all the way until his memorial service.
You know, Don, you have to invite Jesus Christ to come into your
like the kind of
heart
person to do it.
and
Yeah,
ask him
no.
to forgive
Chat,
you
it's
of your
always
sins.
it's always like the religious nuts, man. It's always the religious nuts, as far as I've seen. Like, they always the most fucked up shit. Is that him
Upon his
now?
arrest, Ronald Brown admitted to
Is
everything.
that a freaking like wig he's wearing? Why is it gray down here and like brown up here?
He truly did want to eat the child he had been eyeing up at his church, along with many others over the years. Though after saying this, he claimed that he would never actually have carried through with it, and that Michael and him were merely role-playing. This is heavily debated to this day, as technically there isn't proof that any of these delusions spilled over to the real world. But that's only what we know of, and considering the large quantity of CP in his home, the self-admitted obsession with dead little boys, and the actual plans he had to kidnap and eat a child, it seemed clear that it was only a matter of time before he finally followed through with his desires. For Ronald, there was no defense, and because of this, the judge handed down a sentence of 20 years in 2014, which would wind up becoming a life sentence, as it appears he passed away sometime in 2020, well before his scheduled release.
Okay. Chat, for someone who has as depraved and sick fantasies as that, 20 years is not enough. He should be locked up for life. Yeah, he should not be allowed to be walking on the streets, because that's just like, Chat, like, what I feel like happens is you lock up these guys, you put them away before they can do something, they get repressed. When they come out, they're going to do it. They are going to do it because they know their life is over, and this is the only chance they have to do what they want to do. And so if he had gone out, old man gone out, he would have 100% done it. He would have done it as many times as possible, because he knows he's going to go back to jail soon anyways, and he's going to die soon. And he's like, why not? Like, you don't give them a chance to do it again. Just lock them up forever.
This discovery changed the entire context surrounding JoyJunction, the wholesome TV show beloved by children all across the country, only for one of its main stars to be outed as a predator of the most disturbing caliber. But there was one last discovery made by law enforcement in Ronald's case that makes the show that much more chilling. During the raid on Ronald's home, officers found a collection of journals that Ronald wrote in daily, where he obsessively discussed young boys that he had been coming into contact with, highlighting his desire to know what it was like to kill them, and to know how they taste. These journals, to my knowledge, have never been released to the public, but the thing I find most interesting about this is the date at which these journals started. 1978. This disturbing desire had been brewing inside of him for decades, and coincidentally, JoyJunction just so happened to start 1 year later, in 1979, meaning that many of the kids seen on this program were likely the very same ones that Ronald wanted to eat. Given this context, it's no wonder why all parties involved with JoyJunction cut ties with it completely. It just changes the entire feeling of the show. From the moment that one simple water bottle was identified, JoyJunction's fate was sealed, and so was Ronald Brown's. Still though, I'm left with many questions after reviewing this case. Was there anything more to that traffic stop in 1998, or those pizza parties with the kids? And how serious was Ronald about following through with his plans to kill C, with the answer to these questions likely being taken to the grave along with him? But what I find so fascinating about this case is that the fallout of the raid on Michael Arnett's home is still being felt to this very day. Honest devices weren't just chats from Ronald Brown. In fact, there were hundreds of other predators, with officers going on to arrest many of them, some of whom are still in the process of being tried and sentenced. And when reading into some of these other cases involving Michael, it's
8 years. Only 8 years.
It's evident just how serious these people were.
International uncovered. How do they even manage to make networks for this shit and not get? I don't know.
One of these men was even recently caught having built an entire bunker equipped with torture tools in preparation for.
During the execution of search warrant, agents also discovered a locked door in the basement of the residence. Inside the door was a sally port that led to a second door with a keyed lock. Inside the second door was a dungeon, which was lined with acoustical sound deadening material, soundproofing, a chair, television, and what appeared to be cable access to the internet. The room also contained a child-sized homemade coffin with large speakers covering in wired mesh at one end, with exterior locking devices, a steel cage approximately 3 inches wide, 2 inches high, and 4 inches long, with multiple locking devices, and a steel tabletop with steel rings at 6 points, presumably for restraints. Outside these rooms were a cabinet freezer and an upright freezer, disposable scalpels, butchering kits, and castration tools. This dungeon was described in detail by Portway in recorded chats as a place he intended to use to keep children kidnapped children while he abused them, and as a place to eventually murder and cannibalize the children. Jesus Christ.
His first victim.
Only 8 years? Don't some drug dealers get life? Yeah, they do, which is insane.
Which he planned to share with Michael. On top of all the CP distribution, these fantasies about killing children weren't just roleplay. These were very real thoughts and very real plans. But the one small bright spot of this case is that the 2-year-old girl that Michael had photographed in his oven, thankfully, was found alive and well. And he too never got to carry through with eating a child. At least that we know. But his physical abuse against them was in fact very real. And as were his desires that him and Ronald likely would have acted on had this entire ring never been exposed.
Yeah, it's frightening to think that if they were caught from one singular water bottle, that he would have killed and eaten a kid. It would have happened. Like, they both would have done it. Like, probably multiple too. Like, it's insane. It's insane to think how many times this probably already happened in the past year. Like, in the past 365 days, multiple kids have probably been and eaten. Like, it's ridiculous to think about. Like, when you stop looking at your own life and you start thinking about the life around you of other people, it's kind of horrifying, honestly.
When it was conceived, JoyJunction was meant to teach children morals, right from wrong.
Reminds me of the horror game banned on PlayStation
just
for
so
some
happened
reason.
to be taught by a man who was actively engaging in the very behaviors that were condemned